Captain Lena Morse stared at the viewscreen, her heart hammering against her ribs as the blue-green marble grew larger before them. Earth. After 300 years of exile, humanity had finally returned home, but something was wrong. No radio. "Signals," reported Tom, her communications officer. His voice carried the same hollow disbelief that had settled over the entire bridge crew. No heat signatures from the major cities. No orbital platforms, no defense grids, nothing. The silence stretched between them like a chasm. Lena had grown up on stories of Earth, the bustling metropolises, the billions of humans who had stayed behind when the Generation ships launched. Her grandmother had painted pictures with words of New York's towering spires, of London's ancient bridges, of Tokyo's neon dreams. All of it was supposed to still be there, waiting for their return. "Take us into orbit," Lena commanded, though her voice barely rose above a whisper. The ship's engines hummed their response, carrying the last survivors of humanity closer to what should have been their triumphant homecoming. Dr. Maya Shunno. She corrected herself. Dr. Maya Stone, her xenobiologist, leaned over her sensor array. "Captain, I'm detecting massive crater formations across all continents. These patterns, they're consistent with asteroid impacts." "Multiple impacts? When?" The question came out sharper than Lena intended. Maya's fingers danced across her controls, running calculations that would determine their entire future, based on weathering patterns and geological settling. Approximately 250 years ago, the bridge fell silent except for the steady pulse of life support systems. 250 years. 50 years after they'd left. While humanity's children had been taking their first steps on distant worlds, learning to breathe recycled air and grow food in artificial soil, their birth world had been dying. "Any survivors?" Tom asked, though they all knew the answer. "Impossible to tell from orbit," Maya replied. "But Captain ... there's something else. I'm detecting unusual electromagnetic signatures from several locations. They single quotes read ... artificial. Definitely artificial." Lena felt something stir in her chest, not hope. Exactly, but something close to it. Humans were survivors. They had proven that by crossing the void between stars, by building new homes on hostile worlds, by refusing to let distance or time break their spirit. If even one settlement had survived, if even a handful of people had found a way through. "The catastrophe ... prepare the away teams," she ordered. "Full environmental suits. We're going down." As the crew moved to execute her orders, Lena remained fixed on the viewscreen. Earth looked peaceful from this distance, almost serene. The blue of its oceans caught the light of Sol, just as she remembered from the old photographs. But she could see the scars now, the dark patches where impact sites had torn through continents. The absence of the familiar geometric patterns that should have marked human civilization. Every great bond starts with a single moment of courage. HFY Chronicle Stories is just beginning, and your support matters. If you love emotional sci-fi tales, forbidden connections, and stories that stay with you, hit subscribe. It's free, and it helps us bring more stories from the stars to you. Hand moved to the small pendant at her throat, a piece of meteorite her grandmother had worn, supposedly from Earth's moon. 3 generations of her family had carried this fragment of home across impossible distances. Now she would be the first to bring it back. "Maya," she called, "focus your scans on those electromagnetic signatures. I want to know what we're dealing with before we set foot on the surface." "Already working on it, Captain. These readings are ... strange, almost like the planet is trying to communicate." Lena's grip tightened on her command chair. After 3 centuries of silence, Earth was speaking again. The shuttle descended through atmosphere that tasted of ash and time. Below them, the ruins of what had once been Chicago stretched like broken teeth across the landscape. Lena piloted. Personally, her hand steady on the controls despite the tremor in her heart. Electromagnetic readings are getting stronger, Maya reported from the co-pilot seat. Whatever's generating these signals, we're heading straight for it. Behind them, the away team checked their equipment one final time. 6 of humanity's finest engineers, scientists, soldiers, all volunteers for this first step back onto their ancestral soil. They had trained for hostile environments, alien atmospheres, unknown threats. None of them had trained for coming home to a grave. The shuttle touched down in what had once been Grant Park, now a field of twisted metal and crystalline formations that caught the afternoon sunlight like frozen tears. Lena powered down the engines and turned to face her team. Remember, we don't know what kind of environmental hazards we're dealing with. Stay in contact at all times. If anyone's suit shows the slightest breach, we extract immediately. She paused, meeting each of their eyes. And if we find survivors, be gentle. They've been alone for a very long time. The airlock cycled, and Lena stepped onto Earth for the first time in her life. The ground crunched beneath her boots, not the soil she had imagined, but a strange mixture of debris and crystalline growth that seemed to pulse with its own inner light. Her environmental readings showed atmosphere that was breathable but changed, oxygen levels higher than historical norms, nitrogen ratios shifted in ways that suggested massive ecological upheaval. "Captain," Tom's voice crackled through. I'm picking up movement. 200 meters northeast, near that large crystal formation." Lena's pulse quickened. Define movement, organized. Purposeful. Definitely not wind or settling debris. She gestured for the team to spread into a defensive formation, weapons ready but not raised. Whatever they were about to encounter, first. Contact protocols demanded caution mixed with hope. The crystal formation Tom had indicated rose from the earth like a translucent spire, easily 30 meters tall and humming with energy that made their instruments chatter with activity. As they approached, Lena could see that it wasn't entirely natural. Geometric patterns spiraled through its structure, mathematical progressions that spoke of intelligent design. "Maya, are you seeing this? The entire formation is artificial." "Captain," grown, not built, but definitely shaped by intelligence, and those electromagnetic signals are coming from inside. A shadow moved within the crystal's depths, then another. As the away team drew closer, shapes became clearer, humanoid. Figures suspended in the crystal matrix, perfectly preserved, eyes closed as if in peaceful sleep. "Stasis," breathed Dr. James Park, their medical officer. "They're in some kind of suspended animation." Lena counted 20 figures visible from this angle, their bodies surrounded by a soft, blue-green glow that pulsed in rhythm with their heartbeats. Men, women, even children, all of them human, all of them somehow alive after 2.5 centuries. How is this possible? Tom whispered. Before anyone could answer, the crystal formation shuddered. Light cascaded down its length like water, and the electromagnetic signals Maya had been tracking suddenly strengthened, resolving into something that made everyone's breath catch. Morse code. "Can you translate it?" Lena asked. Maya was already working, her fingers flying over her portable unit. "It's saying, 'Welcome home. We've been waiting.'" The crystal pulsed brighter, and cracks began to appear along its surface, not damage but design, following the mathematical spirals that wound through its structure. Steam hissed from the fissures, carrying with it the scent of ozone and something else, something almost floral. "They're waking up," James said, his medical sensors painting readings across his visor. Heart rates increasing, brain activity spiking. Whatever this stasis system is, it's bringing them back online. Lena took a step closer to the crystal, close enough to see the face of the nearest sleeper, a woman perhaps her own age with dark hair and peaceful features. As she watched, the woman's eyes opened, meeting hers through the crystal barrier. The woman smiled. The crystal matrix dissolved like morning frost. releasing its occupants onto the transformed Earth with movements that seemed too graceful for people who had been sleeping for centuries. The woman Lena had seen first, who introduced herself simply as Anna, stepped forward with the confidence of someone greeting old friends rather than strangers from the stars. "You're from the colony ships," Anna said, and it wasn't a question. Her voice carried an accent that seemed familiar yet changed, as if English itself had evolved during the long sleep. "We felt you arrive. The planet told us you were coming." "The planet told you?" Lena found herself struggling with concepts that should have been impossible. Around them, the other awakened humans moved with that same strange grace, their eyes holding depths that spoke of experiences no human should have possessed. Anna smiled, placing her hand against the nearest crystal formation. Immediately, light pulsed along its length, racing toward other spires scattered across the ruined cityscape. One by one, they blazed to life, a network of illumination spreading to the horizon. "We should have died," Anna explained, her voice carrying no trace of sadness despite the magnitude of what she was describing. "The asteroids came without warning, a rogue cluster, probably knocked loose from the belt by Jupiter's gravity. Impact after impact, each one ending civilizations that had lasted millennia." Tom stepped forward, his recorder capturing every word. "But you survived. How?" "We didn't survive," said another voice. A man emerged from behind one of the crystal spires, his movements carrying that same inhuman fluidity. "We died. All of U.S. Every human on Earth perished in the first wave of impacts." The away team exchanged glances, hands moving instinctively toward weapons that suddenly felt inadequate for whatever they were facing. Anna noticed their tension and laughed. "Sound like water over stones, beautiful but alien." "We're still human, Captain Morse. More human than we were before, perhaps. How do you know my name?" "The same way we knew you were coming. The same way we survived extinction." Anna's hand swept toward the crystal formations. "Earth saved us. Not the planet as you knew it, but what it became after the impacts. The crystalline formations aren't just preserving us, they're part of us now. We're part of them." Maya's instruments were chattering constantly now, recording energy patterns that defied every law of physics she understood. "The readings are incredible, Captain. These formations are somehow interfacing directly with human neural tissue. It's like they've created a symbiotic relationship." "A partnership," Anna corrected. "When the impacts came, something in Earth's core responded. Perhaps it was always there, waiting for the right catastrophe to awaken it. The crystals grew from deep places, reaching up through the devastation to save what they could." She gestured to her companions, 20 souls who had been humanity's last hope without knowing it. "We were the lucky ones, close enough to emerging crystal sites when the network activated. It took our bodies, yes, but it gave us something in return. Connection, understanding, time." "What kind of understanding?" Lena asked, though part of her already feared the answer. "The kind that comes from being part of something larger than yourself," the unnamed man replied. "We've been awake in the crystals for 250 years, Captain. Not conscious in the way you understand it, but aware. Connected to every growing thing on this planet, every chemical process, every geological shift. We felt the Earth heal itself. We guided that healing." Around them, the ruined cityscape was transforming. What Lena had taken for debris and destruction was revealing itself as something else entirely. Buildings that had seemed collapsed were actually growing, their surfaces covered in the same crystalline formations that housed the survivors. Streets that appeared cracked and broken were following new patterns, organic curves that flowed like rivers towards central nodes of energy and light. "You're terraforming your own planet," James breathed, his medical training helping him understand what the others were still processing. Anna nodded. "Earth was dying. So we helped it become something new, something that could sustain life in ways the old Earth never could." The crystals don't just preserve, they enhance. They connect, they remember. And now, Lena asked, what happens now that we've returned? The smile that spread across Anna's face held mysteries that would take lifetimes to unravel. Now we show you what Earth has learned. What we've learned. And if you're willing, she extended her hand toward Lena, we show you what humanity can become. The tour of New Earth, as Anna called their transformed world, defied everything. Lena thought she knew about planetary ecology. Where ruins had once stood, vast organic cities stretched toward the sky, their crystalline walls breathing with bioluminescent rhythms that matched the pulse of their inhabitants. Gardens floated on anti-gravity fields generated by crystal matrices. Their produce somehow more vibrant, more alive than anything the colony ships had managed to grow. The network doesn't just connect us to the planet, Anna explained as they walked through what might once have been downtown Chicago. It connects us to each other. When you've shared consciousness with 20 people for 2.5 centuries, certain human limitations become obsolete. She gestured toward a group of children playing in a grove of trees that grew in perfect spirals, their branches forming geometric patterns that hurt to look at directly. Those are our children, born after the integration. They've never known separation from the network. Lena watched the children move within human coordination, their games following mathematical principles that seemed to bend space around them. Beautiful, but unsettling in ways she couldn't articulate. How many of you are there now? Maya asked, her instruments recording energy patterns that grew more complex with each passing hour. 217, replied Marcus the man, who had first explained their death and resurrection. The network can only integrate so many consciousnesses at once. But as Earth continues to evolve. He didn't finish the sentence, but his meaning was clear. The planet was preparing for more inhabitants. Many more. Tom cleared his throat, his journalist's instincts wrestling with implications that grew larger by the hour. Anna, I have to ask, when you say integration, what exactly happens to individual identity, to personal choice? Anna's laugh carried harmonics that seemed to resonate in their bones. You're thinking like colonists, Tom, like people who've spent generations fighting hostile environments, hoarding resources, maintaining rigid hierarchies to survive. But what if survival wasn't the goal anymore? What if the goal was becoming? She led them to an observation platform that rose from the crystal city like a flowering branch. From this height, the transformation of Earth was visible in all its impossible glory. Continents had been reshaped by crystal growth, their coastlines following curves that suggested vast intelligence at work. The oceans themselves glowed with bioluminescent networks that stretched from pole to pole. Your colony ships report populations in the millions, Anna continued. Across dozens of worlds, humanity has built new homes, new societies. But you're still thinking in terms of scarcity of competition, of the old limitations that kept our species trapped on a single world. Lena felt a chill that had nothing to do with altitude. And you're offering an alternative. We're offering evolution. Anna's voice carried harmonics of the other network members now, speaking with the authority of a collective that had transcended individual existence. Earth can support billions now, not through exploitation or resource management, but through integration, through becoming part of something larger than the sum of its parts. James stepped forward, his medical sensors painting impossible readings across his visor. The biological changes, are they permanent? There's no going back if that's what you're asking, Marcus replied. But why would anyone want to? We've eliminated scarcity, ended aging, connected consciousness itself. Death is now a choice rather than an inevitability. And the cost? Lena asked, though she suspected she already knew. Anna's expression grew. Thoughtful, individual identity as you understand it. Personal ambition. The illusion of separation that has driven humanity to build walls, wage wars, compete for resources that could be shared infinitely. She gestured toward the crystal city spreading below them. Here, we are one people, one purpose, one dream of what humanity could become. The away team stood in silence, processing implications that would reshape their understanding of human civilization. In the distance, Lena could see her shuttle, still sitting in what had once been Grant Park, a lifeline back to the stars, to the colonial worlds where humanity remained recognizably human. You don't have to decide now, Anna said gently. But your arrival has awakened something in the network. A hunger for the experiences you've brought from the stars. The stories of distant worlds, of human adaptation and survival. We've learned to become one with our planet, but you've learned to make homes among alien suns. She turned to face them fully, and in her eyes, Lena saw the combined intelligence of 200 minds working in perfect harmony. Together, we could become something neither Earth nor the colonies could achieve alone. A humanity that spans galaxies while remaining connected to the consciousness that gave us birth. The choice is yours, Captain Morse, but choose knowing that Earth is no longer dead, and neither are we. The emergency council meeting aboard the colony ship stretched. Past midnight, voices raised in heated debate that would determine humanity's future. Lena sat at the head of the conference table, her report lying before representatives from every major colonial world: New Haven, Kepler's Dream, Aurora Station, and dozens of others whose populations hung in the balance of this decision. It's not human, insisted Admiral Blake, his scarred face reflecting decades of hard choices in hostile space. Whatever those things are, they're not the people we left behind. They're some kind of hive mind wearing human faces. They saved themselves from extinction, countered Dr. Ewan from the Science Council, in ways we never imagined possible. The biotechnology alone could revolutionize every aspect of colonial life. Extended lifespans, direct environmental interface, consciousness transfer, at the cost of everything that makes us human. Blake slammed his fist on the table. Individual will, personal choice, the right to disagree and go our own way. You want to throw that away for what? Eternal life as a bug in some alien collective? Lena raised her hand for silence. In the 3 days since their return from the surface, she had barely slept, her mind wrestling with implications that seemed to grow larger with each passing hour. The question isn't whether they're human, she said finally. The question is whether they represent humanity's future or its end. Captain, said Representative Collins from New Haven, her voice carrying the weight of 2 million colonists' concerns. You spent the most time with them. What did your instincts tell you? Lena closed her eyes, remembering Anna's smile, the children playing their impossible games, the crystal cities that breathed with alien life. They're happy, she said quietly. Genuinely, completely happy in ways I'm not sure humans have ever been before. No war, no want, no loneliness, no fear of death. They've solved every problem that has plagued our species since we first looked up at the stars. By ceasing to be our species, Blake muttered. Have they? Maya spoke up from her position near the wall-mounted displays. Captain, when Anna spoke with you, did she feel alien? Did her thoughts, her emotions, her fundamental humanity seem absent? Lena considered the question carefully. No, she felt more human, if anything. Like she had access to parts of human experience that the rest of us have forgotten. Empathy without boundaries. Understanding without judgment. Love without possession. The conference room fell silent as the implications settled over them. Finally, Tom spoke from his position near the communications array. There's something else we need to consider. The network's influence isn't limited to Earth. My deep space sensors have been picking up similar electromagnetic signatures from 3 other systems' dead worlds that should be lifeless, but are showing signs of crystalline activity. Admiral. Blake leaned forward. You think it's spreading? I think it's growing, Tom replied. Whatever awakened on Earth during the asteroid impacts, it's reaching out. looking for other worlds that need saving, other species that might benefit from integration. Dr. Yuan's eyes widened. A galaxy-spanning consciousness, connecting not just humans, but every intelligent species willing to join the network. The scientific implications alone, the military implications terrify me, Blake interrupted. What happens to the colonies that refuse integration? What happens to species that want to remain independent? Lena stood, moving to the massive view screen that showed Earth in all its crystalline glory. From orbit, the transformed world looked like a jewel, its surface pattern suggesting intelligence at work on a planetary scale. Anna made me an offer, she said without turning around. She said the network could extend beyond Earth, connecting the colonial worlds while allowing them to maintain their unique characteristics. A federation of consciousness spanning light years, sharing knowledge and experience while preserving diversity. And the alternative? Collins asked. Lena finally turned to face the assembled representatives. We leave. All of us. Pack up the colonies, load the generation ships, and keep running until we find a corner of the galaxy where the network can't reach. The silence stretched for long minutes, each representative wrestling with a choice that would echo through human history. Finally, Admiral Blake spoke. There's a third option. We fight. We quarantine Earth, establish defensive perimeters around the colonial worlds, and maintain human independence by force if necessary. Fight what? Maya asked softly. A consciousness that spans continents. A planet that can reshape matter at will. They offered partnership, Admiral. They didn't threaten conquest. Yet, Blake replied grimly. Lena moved back to her chair, her decision crystallizing in her mind like the formations that now covered Earth. I'm going back down, she announced. Anna offered me the choice, and I'm going to take it. Not as humanity's representative, but as an individual making a personal decision about her own future. The room erupted in protests, but Lena held up her hand for silence. The colonies will make their own choices. Each world, each settlement, each individual person will decide whether to join the network or maintain independence. But someone needs to be the bridge between what we were and what we might become. Someone needs to carry our stories to the network and bring their wisdom back to the stars. She looked around the table at faces that reflected fear, hope, uncertainty, and determination in equal measure. Earth isn't dead anymore, and neither are we. But what we're becoming, that's still being written. I intend to help write it. The meeting adjourned in chaos, but Lena felt a peace she hadn't known since childhood. Tomorrow she would return to the Crystal Cities. Tomorrow she would discover what it meant to become more than human while remaining true to humanity's greatest dreams. The dead world had awakened, and it was calling its children home.